Happy Monday evening, everybody, and welcome to Inside the Classroom. There are going to be three things that you notice are different about tonight's episode. The first is I'm not in the classroom, nor am I on my school's campus. For this week's episode, I wanted to approach you guys from a much more personal space. So I'm sitting in my home at my dining room table with my notes all around me so I can share what's on my heart. The second thing that's a little different, as you can see, is I have some fancy headphones, which happen to be my son's. I'm borrowing them, and a microphone. I am trying to become a little more professional in doing this because I want this to succeed and I want it to be a useful tool for you. So I hope that you can hear me very well, that there's no weird mumbling or feedback. Obviously, leave me a comment if there is. And the third thing is my voice. I was on spring break last week. I still talked. I'm not really sure why it's that much different, but getting back into the classroom, speaking, through all of, first, second, third period, it's a little more taxing than obviously I thought. So I apologize for that and my raspiness, but my sweet husband took our two children out of the house to give me space to do this quietly, and he is bringing me some coffee back. So I will hopefully feel better by tomorrow. But if you were able to see on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook, I have postponed what I wanted episode 4 to be about, which was content, compassion, and culture, melding those three things inside the classroom. I am hoping to have a guest for that episode. So to give a little bit more time, I decided to postpone that for episode 5. And tonight, I just want to share my thoughts on Governor Abbott's Teacher Vacancy Task Force. If you're watching, you might already be aware of this. It has received a ton of attention here in Texas, as well as across the country, and on Twitter and on Facebook. It's all over the place. I've seen funny memes. I've seen inappropriate memes. I've seen really good, constructive comments, and then I've seen really negative comments towards this. And so I just want to share my thoughts, and I welcome you to do the same. So the first thing, as we get started, that I wanted to do is read to you the information that I downloaded and printed straight from TEA's website about the task force. I'm not really sure if those people who criticized and blasted Governor Abbott actually did what I did. I'm not sure if they went and printed and read and highlighted, or if they just caught, what they see on Twitter, what they see on Instagram, just like our students. You guys, our students think that they know what's going on and that they're informed because they read a 140 character tweet, or that they see a picture with a summarization underneath it on Instagram, and they think they automatically know. So reading this definitely kind of changed my view, my opinion. So I'm going to share it with you. From urban and suburban school systems with large student populations to those districts serving several rural communities, public school systems across Texas are faced with growing staffing challenges that have been exacerbated by both population growth and the wide-ranging disruptions of a 2-year-long pandemic. The Teacher Vacancy Task Force is working to find teacher-shaped solutions to these challenges, blending a variety of perspectives and experiences from current classroom teachers and school administrators into thoughtful policy recommendations and an innovative way forward that firmly supports the needs of our teachers. So that is basically kind of their mission statement that you see right at the top there. And there are a couple of things that I want to address that pretty much were addressed by you, by Twitter, by the critics. And the first one is definitely that it says teacher-shaped solutions. And so the first thing I want to bring up as I flip the page to their list of members, all right, I made some notes on both sides, is that only 2 originally, if you've been in the news, you know that by now Governor Abbott and the TEA commissioner, they've revised that, and they are now adding an additional 24 spots, which we will get to later on in the podcast. But originally, there were only 2 teachers on this task force. So all of that criticism, all of those comments were true. I'm looking at the list, right? And they're listed first, which I think is ironic because, if someone's just looking at it, they're like, oh, okay, they're including teachers, but they might not have continued to read down the list and that there are only, well, this one has 3. So we have the chair from Dallas ISD who teaches at Forney. We have another teacher from McAllen ISD, which is a border town down south, and then another from Highland Park. So I just want to mention first, my husband and I have traveled a little bit all over the state of Texas. My husband is a coach, so he's very much stays in the know of, what classifications are what and what schools are successful and which ones are rural and which ones. So he and I kind of sat down and we discussed this. Those 3 teachers that were originally on the task force are from 5A and 6A places. So originally, those rural areas weren't even represented as teachers or for teachers or from teachers or to teachers. Forney ISD is a 5A and a 6A. McAllen has multiple 5A campuses. And then Highland Park is a 6A. So I'm not really sure if those teachers are elementary or high school or junior high. It doesn't really say, but it just goes to show that things work very drastically and differently from all the different classifications that we have here in Texas, from 1A all the way up to your big 6A schools. So that was the first thing that I noticed in the mission statement, is they want teacher-shaped solutions, but only have a select amount of teachers. The next thing I noticed as I was reading through is the next thing it says, of blending a variety of perspectives and experiences from current classroom teachers and school administrators, which hopefully those 3 teachers that are on there currently are current teachers. But here's something I found on Twitter that I wanted to share. Actually, my husband sent it to me, so he's in the know as well. The list of people that are on this task force. This person, my husband just retweeted it from a lady named Amy Lambert. Amy, I don't know you. I'm not really sure. I didn't fact check this information, so I'm taking you at your word that you were able to find all this. Takes all the people, and she breaks it down into categories. So we have their position, their school district, their background, right, in teaching or haven't teaching, or if they have their business degree, then years since teaching, so how long they've been out of the classroom, and then their salary, which is interesting because I think all of us would agree that some of the tension we feel is because of low pay, is because we work so hard doing this job for very little, which most of us would agree we don't do it for the money, but it would be nice. All right. My dad, who is in almost 40 years in this profession, got curious one year. And this was at least a decade ago, so I'm sure it's changed, but got curious to see how much we as teachers and coaches specifically got paid an hour. So he calculated, right, his hours that he worked in a week as a coach. So average teachers would have to subtract from that, and did just minimum wage back then. And he calculated that teachers make less than 50 cents an hour. Obviously, like I said, that was decades ago, so it could be different now. So let's just take 2 or 3 of these people and let's just see what it says. So and their names I'm not going to say because that's not the point, right? One of the positions listed on this task force is Chief Human Resources Officer. So from what I know of human resources, in my experience of moving to 4 or 5 different schools, is their job is to hire people, right? This person works in Gregory, Portland, and has never taught. Again, I'm not going to say their name, but this person has never taught. This person who's trying to make, as it says in the mission statement, teacher-shaped solutions, and according to Amy Lambert, has never taught, and makes a little under $130,000 a year, right? So that's one example. I'm going to go down the list a little bit for another example. This one is a superintendent, right? This one that I picked from is from Ed Couch Elsa ISD and hasn't taught since 2002. Hasn't been in the classroom since 2002, which that was the year after 9/11. I was in 6th grade when that happened, and it was kind of like a pandemic. Learning after that tragedy was very difficult. So perhaps this person has a little bit of that feeling, those emotions that have lasted. But y'all, the teaching in the classroom now in 2022 is vastly different than 2002. And this person obviously hasn't been in the classroom in 18 years and makes $164,000. Again, making teacher-shaped solutions. So this, I'm not going to harp too much more on that because I think you get the point, and you do get the point because most teachers took to Facebook and took to Twitter, possibly even sending emails and letters to Greg Abbott himself saying, whoa, this is a problem. You're addressing teacher vacancies and you only have not well represented teachers on this task force. So I'm going to read just a few more things before I get to what I would call the good part, right? This is from KERA, the Texas Newsroom. I believe, I'm not really sure where they're out of, but I want to read what someone said from the Texas State Teachers Association. We are glad that Governor and Commissioner saw fit to appoint 2 teachers to the task force, but we are disappointed that a larger number was not added to a group of 28 people. This is TSTA President Ovidia Molina, if I'm saying that correctly, in a statement at the time. Who knows better about why there is a teacher shortage than real experts, the teachers themselves? So because of that, let me get a hand clap. This was released on March 15th, so only 5 days after the release of the task force forming. It says TEA announces, and again, this is strictly from TEA, all right? TEA announces immediate expansion of Teacher Vacancy Task Force to include 24 additional Texas public school teachers. I don't want it to be too loud, so I'm silently clapping. 24 extra teachers are going to be on this task force. And I read a couple of more things, and I watched some interviews, and I watched some videos, and let's hope, you guys, let's hope that they do expand that and they follow through with that. So I applied. I'm one of those people that really follows, I think it was Gandhi, that says, be the change you want to see in the world. I'm all about changing the education system. I'm trying to keep the good ones inside the classroom because that's what our students need. So I did. I applied for the task force. I hope I get it. I think I would bring a lot of great things to the table. But teachers, that's our job. Just like you took to Twitter, just like you took to Facebook. Not necessarily in the most kind way, but you still wanted to see a change and they listened, which is really exciting. And so if you care this much, apply for the task force. There's a link on TEA's website that will send you to a form. They don't ask for any kind of resume. They don't ask for references. They just want your passion and they want to be able to see how you could help. And so I filled out the form, submitted it. I haven't heard back, but we'll see. So there's going to be 24 new teachers added to this task force. And I truly hope, and my prayer is that these 24 additional people that they do add come from all backgrounds, come from all types of schools, have different years of experience. One of my teacher friends who ended up leaving the profession was only 3 years in. We've got to hear from our new teachers. I'm in my 11th year. I'm not a newbie, but I'm not a veteran yet. And so I hope that out of these 24 people, we have first year teachers, second year teachers, 10th year teachers, all the way up to almost retirement, because we need to see and we need to hear that feedback. So I'm really excited to hear back from TEA. I'm not really sure if I will or not. But here is something that was said by the chair of the task force. His name is Mr. Torres, and he says, I am honored for the opportunity to lead this task force focused on ensuring we have great teachers in every classroom. The reason I got into education is because I believe that a student's zip code shouldn't determine his or her fate. And this task force has the ability to recommend the needed changes in innovative solutions necessary to ensure all Texas students have access to the high quality educators they deserve. So there was another Google form that I filled out that asked about solutions and recommendations. Definitely one of those was getting rid of the star. 100%, right? But two of mine actually kind of come down on the preparation side of it. And these are just my thoughts. I believe our colleges need to do a better job preparing future educators. In my college, which you can comment if you really know where I went, they didn't send us inside the classroom until our junior year. And by that point, it's a little too late to change your major and to change the degree that you want to get in. So colleges, I implore you to get your future educators inside the classroom their freshman year, so they have time to possibly back out. Because a problem that we're seeing in the classroom now are people who really never wanted to teach in the first place. It's just a job to them because it's hard, and perhaps they weren't prepared for that. And the second way, a recommendation that I would suggest is kind of pinpointing what Mr. Torres said when he mentions high quality educators. You guys, I know too many teachers, and I hear too many stories from my students of the teachers that they know don't like teaching. They sit at their desk, they put their feet up, they hand out worksheets, and there's a time and space for that. I understand, and I give grace to all of us who do that. Today was a perfect example for me. I had to get grades done. So today I probably wasn't a highly qualified teacher or quality teacher. But teachers who are like that constantly, there has to be some way to get them out. We've been through PDOS. I can't really remember what it is now, T-tests, I think, but there's got to be a better way for us to get the bad ones out. I don't know how else to say it except that is to get the bad ones out, because anyone, if they know an observation is coming, anyone can fake it. Anyone can put on a show. And it's those teachers that bring high energy and passion and love and care every single day that deserve to stay. And so honestly, maybe put cameras in the classrooms. I don't know if that's legal or not, but there's got to be a way. So I want to leave you with this. All right. I always want to encourage. And so I got my Bible out. I got a verse highlighted. So in the wake of Governor Abbott creating a task force, getting criticized in the way he did it and in the way he was probably trying to help, we've seen change. And hopefully we continue to see more. But teachers, you're a reflection of all of us when you gripe and when you complain and when you attack sometimes. And I want to encourage you, and I want to plead with you to always speak with grace and kindness. So in Ephesians 4:17, it says, let no corrupting talk come out of your mouths, but only such as is good for building up as fits the occasion, that it may give grace to those who hear. And in my study Bible, it kind of references another verse that I want to share. And it's Colossians 4:6. It says, let your speech always be gracious, seasoned with salt so that you may know how you ought to answer each person. Guys, I felt the same way you did when I kind of, saw on Twitter and stuff that there were only 2 teachers. I was disappointed. I felt, I don't know what the word is, but I was kind of like, duh. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But these guys get paid obviously a lot of money to make certain decisions. And so I didn't criticize, but some of you did. And some of the comments I saw weren't very gracious. Again, I hark back to, my Disney Channel kind of musicalness inside of me. And we're all in this together. And the only way that we can make it see change is to be kind. Is to possibly, instead of taking to Facebook, instead of taking to Twitter, just send an email to Governor Abbott himself, right? Or the director of TEA. I think he's called the commissioner. But be gracious. Moving forward, when this subject pops up, be gracious, be kind, and be thankful that something is trying to be done about the teacher vacancy, because it is a problem and our students are noticing it, which makes me sad because it is a profession that I love, that I care very deeply for. So thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. Please send an email. Reach out to me. I would love to hear back from you if you research differently or if you found any other statistics that you would love to share. Please let me know. If not, stay tuned until next week. Let's hope I have a special guest, and I look forward to seeing you guys then. God bless.